All right, welcome back to the show. T. Allen Haynes with the Business Innovators Radio Show. We've got Lee Eisenstaedt with us today. He is just a new author with his second book, actually. He's an author and a speaker. He's also the founder and CEO of the Value Drivers LLC. He has nearly 4 decades of experience as a finance and operations executive with large manufacturers in both the U.S. and Europe, and as the COO of 2 top 50 CPA firms. His firm helps CEOs and other executives who are anxious about the pressure that they're under to make an impact on their businesses. And Lee is also the co-author of the book, Wallet Share, Grow Your Practice Without Adding Clients. And as I said, he's the author of the new best-selling book, Being a Leader with Courage, you can find on Amazon.com, How to Succeed in Your C-Level Position in 18 Months or Less. Welcome to the show, Lee.
Thanks so much, Tracy. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about, who's the book focused for and how you're helping them with your new book.
It's really focused on CEOs, their direct reports, so anyone in the C-suite, and their teams. And it's all focused around helping them be more effective at encouraging innovation, at implementing their plans, because we can help them identify their strengths and some of their blind spots.
Awesome. So you've got an incredible background. I'm just so amazed about the things that you've been through where you're the undisputed authority on helping these C-level executives through what you've been through. Give us a little background of how you got started doing this.
Yeah, it's been kind of a random walk. I'm afraid of a career. If I'd planned it out, I wouldn't have ended up where I'm at now. But I spent my early years with a large pharmaceutical healthcare company. But then where it really matured, or where it came to life, was at SC Johnson, otherwise known as Johnson Wax. Mm-hmm. And there I was in the family office. I was the assistant to the executive vice president of a division. They moved me to be a very strong player in one of their subsidiaries. And then the real cap came when I was moved to Europe for 5 years and lived in Paris, France, where I was in charge of all kinds of functions in the subsidiaries that I was assigned to, and I had 5 of them that reported to me in Europe. So, I started having this very broad background. I then retired from there, went to become a COO in accounting firms, that I look a lot like a partner in an accounting firm as far as my background, my age. And so I just kept picking up COO roles. And that always involved leadership development, and onboarding. If I've got time for one quick story, I remember in one of my jobs,
absolutely,
how I really got into this was I wasn't in the job. I just started. I retired from SC Johnson. I went to an accounting firm where I was COO. Never had done that before. New industry, new everything, new city. No one knew me in the company, of course. And I'm there the first hour, and my boss says to me, who's managing partner, "Did I tell you I'm taking a sabbatical for 2 months starting a week from today?"
Wow.
And I said, "No, I'd remember that. I would remember that." And I said, "So who am I going to report to? Who's going to be kind of my guide through the company?" And he said, "Well, you're the COO. You can do that. You've got this broad background, kind of like what you were talking about, Tracy, very diverse." He said, "You'll figure it out." Well, all of a sudden, I'm thrown into the deep end of the pool. And that was really the beginning of where this idea of, how to succeed in your C-level position in 18 months or less came from, is I had to figure it out. And I didn't have 18 months. I had to figure it out a lot faster than that. So that's how I got started in it. Long answer to a short question.
Yeah, but you basically had already burnt the boats. You had to go forward, right?
Oh, no choice. No choice. And I hate to say it, it wasn't the first time that happened to me. When I first went to Paris on my assignment, my boss came in 6 weeks after I was there and said he was leaving the next day. I didn't know the language, literally. I didn't know the culture of the country. I didn't know people. I had 5 countries reporting to me. I didn't know the people in them. And he's walking out of there with 24 hours notice, 6 weeks into the assignment. You talk about burning boats. My wife had quit her job. We'd sold our cars. We'd sold our house. There was no going back. This had to work.
Amazing.
It had to work. So
Well, that's an incredible story. As you got into this and you found, what were the challenges that you were finding with these C-level executives in these businesses? I mean, you explained some of them, but what's some of the other things that you discovered?
Well, what was really interesting about I interviewed 30 CEOs, and what was really interesting about it was how common the problems were. It didn't matter what industry they were in. It didn't matter how big a company it was, how it was organized, meaning not-for-profit, for-profit, which coast of the country they were on. The problems were the same. And those problems were where the ego of the CEO got out in front of him or her. And, for example, they would just come in with the answer. And rather than asking people a very simple question, what do you think? They would start issuing dictates and mandates without knowing, how they got where they are, what were the people most proud of, and they just started firing orders. That was a recipe for disaster. Similarly, if they came in, and this happened, they would say, if they said, what we have to do here is change the culture, and they just start changing things, again, without knowing what was the history, what got them where they are today. And it's what made the employees proud to be there. It's what motivated them to come to work every day. And even though it may be dysfunctional, they had to, they should have paid attention to it. So there's 9 derailers that the book focuses on. And it was amazing how common those derailers were. And I've already mentioned 2 of them.
Well, give us a couple more. What are a couple more of those derailers?
Well, trying to do everything yourself. Whenever, it's kind of reminds me of our current political situation. When a CEO or your boss says, I can do that myself, and tries doing everything him or herself, that isn't going to work. There is no way they can do it all and succeed. Just no way. So understanding how to delegate, both how to delegate projects and how to focus on fewer, bigger ideas is another of the derailers. One of the really common ones was sticking with an existing team member too long. An underperforming team member. And most of the CEOs I talked to had fallen victim to that. And that was because many of them were entrepreneurs. They started their companies from scratch. They hired their family members, cousins, friends to help them build the business because it's all they could afford. And then when the business took off and it outgrew those people, they had to, those people couldn't grow with the business. That was just wasn't happening. And they had this very tough decision to make about letting them go. And that took them longer than they liked. And I asked most of them, well, if you had one do-over, in your career, what would it be? And it would be moving faster on Sally or Fred, because in the end, it sounds trite. It's really better for Sally or Fred, but it also lifts the spirits of the whole team. It's much like divorce. It's painful to go through a divorce, but at the end of it, you're much better off. Yeah. And it's better for all concerned. And so that was another one of the derailers, holding on to an existing team member too long.
Awesome. So I understand you have a pretty significant assessment tool that you use to find out where people are at. Could you tell a little bit more about how that works?
We've got a self-assessment that you can take, and the link to it's in the book. It's also on our website, and there's no charge for it. And you can rate yourself on the 26 attributes of an effective leader with courage. And then it groups them up into 4 other categories and gives you a total score. So you get a number of scores, and it helps you understand where you might be. This is an area of blind spots, really. But the real strength of this comes, we developed the self-assessment, and then we followed it up immediately with a 360. And a 360 is simply where you go out and ask others you regularly work with for feedback. And it's the same 26 questions. But while you may rate yourself a 5, and I've actually got several people just going through one right now. This gentleman has rated himself practically a 5 on each of the 26 attributes. So he thinks he's, perfect. Well, his internal peers and his external peers, not so high. They have him at, rather than 100, at 60 or 70. And so now he's aware that, he has to ask this really tough question. Is this how I want to be perceived? Because perception is reality. Is this how I want to be perceived? And if not, what am I going to do about it? So we've got the 2 assessments, and we even offer, after you go through the 360, we have a team of 12 coaches right now that you can select one, certified executive coaches that can help you interpret the feedback and take it to the next level. And they really make it personal and help you get behind the numbers and help you understand the data that's been collected. So that's what we're focusing on.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, the actual C-level executive takes the assessment, and his influence group takes the assessment as well, and then
that would be ideal. But we don't share the results of the assessment with each of them. I mean, it's only shared with the individual who takes it. Now, we have in some cases done a team summary, and we can summarize how the internal peers think about you, the external peers. But no, you don't want to share it. You don't, that'll just, people will be so afraid to give you honest, candid feedback. So we don't do that. And if they want to do that, I actually got into a situation where there was an individual they wanted to terminate. And they wanted to use the 360 feedback from others as support for that. And they asked me if I'd give them that feedback, because each of the bosses didn't get the other people's feedback. I said, absolutely not. I mean, I would not only damage, I'd totally compromise my business by breaching that confidentiality.
Yeah, that's crazy. You don't
want it as a performance measure. You want, performance measure. You want it to just be self-improvement and self-awareness. And again, what are your strengths? What are your opportunities for improvement?
So what are some of the KPIs that you track afterwards? I mean, is it the effectiveness of campaigns that they're doing, or their leadership skills, or what's the actual?
Well, I mean, certainly it would be, 12 months, 18 months later, you would go back and do another round of 360s. And did you improve on those areas that you highlighted as needing improvement, from the prior 360? At the end of the 360, we also encourage them to develop a personal development plan that might have 2 or 3 strategies, tactics on how they're going to improve. What are they going to do? When are they going to do it? It can be as simple as, I'm going to build better relationships with my peers in other offices by meeting with them on a quarterly basis. So the KPI in that case is, did you follow up? Did you do that on a quarterly basis? If not, why not? And then when you look at the 360 a year from now, there should be a significant improvement in how the internal peers in this case are viewing that person. So each plan is unique. It's tailored to an individual. And then we go back and look at how well did they accomplish that plan. So certainly, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I'm just saying, certainly there are probably some team dynamics that you could measure, just whether it was in terms of turnover, in terms of successfully implementing plans, whereas maybe before they had some problems in execution. Now are they working together in a much better way, and allows them to implement plans? So I got to say, I haven't looked at too many team dynamics in this. It's always been individual improvement, and all of this is tailored to the individual.
So an individual, if they wanted to improve in these areas, they would bring you on and coach them and hold them accountable. How's that work?
Well, we can meet with them. Frequently what happens is they have an hour coaching session after their 360. Frequently they'll say, I really like this. I wanted someone to talk to, because many of these people, the CEO, let's say, COO, CFO, don't have peers in the organization. They don't have anyone that they can bounce ideas off of, anyone they can just be very candid and open with. So we can fill that role, and we do that, say, meeting with them once or twice a month. We also offer other assessment tools that you can learn about on our website that help them, again, understand their weaknesses, understand their strengths in their core operations, in dealing with their clients, in the culture of the company. Just what's getting in the way of getting things done at the company. So we can do an employee engagement survey, for example. And the outcomes of all of those assessments are very similar. Personal development plans. What are we going to work on? Some of those, like a core operations assessment, where you're looking at the risk and quality of their operations, that has, KPIs like you're talking about in a much bigger way that are much more noticeable that you would track and publish probably across the company. Okay. So we offer a wide range of assessments to help them build just on the leadership assessment.
Excellent. So you have the book, and then you're telling me earlier you have workshops that you're conducting now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that just happened. Someone had read the book and called me up and said, do you have a workshop? And we'd been playing with that idea, saying, just as it lent itself to a 360 or to an assessment, the book lends itself to a workshop. So we've structured a workshop, and we can tailor it to the client's needs, whether it's a half a day or 2 days, let's say. And the 2-day session, there's a section, a segment on each chapter of the book. There are exercises that they do at their table or before. So we put them all through the 360, let's say, as part of this workshop. There's a number of exercises we do at the table so that they come away with it really understanding the 9 derailers, understand the help, what can they do right away at their jobs, at their desks the next day to improve their performance. And so the workshop seems to be getting a lot of traction because people want to train their whole team on how to be better at their jobs. And they don't want to do it so late in their careers that they can't improve. Do it earlier in a career rather than later when you're kind of set in your ways and people have a preconceived notion about you.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. So congratulations on that. So if people want to find out how to get involved with you, I'm going to put it in the notes as well, but how can they find out more and find out more about what you do?
Well, certainly go to our website, www.leaderswithcourage.com or valuedriversllc.com. We've got 2 websites. Leaderswithcourage.com has everything about the book, and valuedriversllc.com talks about all the other services we offer, and there's links between the 2 websites. So you can learn about the workshop, the book. You can download a chapter of the book. You can take the free self-assessment. There's all kinds of things on the websites. I think the websites are the easiest way, or just give me a call. And my phone number, I'll give you that, is 312-827-2643. I'm in Chicago. Happy to talk to anyone. 312-827-2643.
Awesome. Well, again, congratulations on your new bestseller. That's awesome. And
thank you.
Congratulations on where this is going. So thanks for being on the show, and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Always enjoy talking to you.
You're welcome. There you have it for this edition of the show. We'll see you the next time.